chased back with the blue futon, and I just saw ambulance. Should you go see this ambulance? Should you be in a ride along? Let's find out. So ambulance, what's it about? Pretty simple premise. Running away from the cops in the ambulance after robbing a bank and trying to save a cop's life in the back of the ambulance. So if you've seen the trailer, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. It's a Michael Bay movie. And I won't lie, I have a bias with loving Michael Bay movies. Just like a lot of critics hate Michael Bay movies, okay? You read some of the critics. I've already read some of them, and they give it 0 out of 4 stars, basically saying it's Michael Bay, too many American flags, blah, 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 weird humor, blah, blah, blah. And they do that with 13 Hours, Transformers, every kind of movie Michael Bay will direct, critics will fucking hate. So that's why I feel like I have an okay bias, because I gotta step back and be like, yes, I love Michael Bay movies. Are some of them not as good as other ones? Absolutely. So with Ambulance, we will give you the negatives of the movie. Is it too long? Some people say it is. I will have to agree. There are some backstories for some of the characters, especially with the FBI agent in a therapy office. There is no reason for that scene to be in there. Yes, the scene is there to a guy on a phone saying, "Oh, I have to go and help the FBI," but there's a scene in that thing where you're just like, why do they have to be in there? It's like there's an agenda piece in this movie on very, very little elements. It feels like it's in every single movie now where it's like we got to put this type of character and this type of character and this type of character, even though it has nothing to do with the story. And I feel like that is an issue with some of the writing in this movie as well. There are some scenarios where you're like, that doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't need to be in this movie at all. So I don't know if that's Michael Bay thing or the writing, or it was added, post-production. I don't want to say post-production, but like the original script, let's add this scene in the script because the studio wants it, or we have to do it for a quota purpose. And I feel like that's what it is. And it kind of bothered me because it's like, yes, I don't care if you're that type of character in the world. Don't give a shit. But when you put it in a movie and it doesn't flow, or it doesn't make the story even better, or even has anything to do with the main story plot, it's like you don't have to put it in the movie, and you added 3-4 minutes of the movie that you could cut down. So there is a little interesting information like that. And I think it's in a lot of movies, and unfortunately this does it. Other than having a little bit of a long runtime and some scenes where it's in there but doesn't have anything to do with the main story, you could also say that with some of the original bank robbers. There's one of them in there that's just straight for comic relief, and I thought it was pretty funny in how the person died. And some people might find out, like, why are these extra characters in there? And I completely agree. Some of them don't need to be in there, but there are some scenarios where it's like, I could agree with that one being in there. This one, not so much. Other than that, it's a bombastic 2-hour and 12-minute movie, or is it 16-minute movie, whatever, of non-stop action. Some people are going to hate the drone shots. I thought it was fucking awesome, where you're on the edge of a building, you're going straight down, and you're getting these new shots, and you're going in between this, under cars and stuff like that, through buildings. I loved it. It felt like you're a part of the action. Everything in the ambulance. I hated the operation scene. I was like, stop, no, and then something happens. I'm like, fuck, ah! So the tension of that scene is completely bonkers. Is it realistic? No. Am I a doctor? No. Am I a nurse? No. There are some dialogue words basically like, this is not going to fucking happen. There's no way it could happen. So it is self-aware of what it is doing, but it is still like, fuck, don't fuck up. Please don't fuck up. And you're just like, okay, I could dig that. And I could just dig it. I could dig it. And they add a subplot of Jake Gyllenhaal's real dad, because of course, Yahya's character is adopted, which with that storyline, I kind of wish I knew why it was adopted or taken in. It doesn't really explain, and why they went on such different paths. Is it because Jake Gyllenhaal's dad was kind of a mental, psychotic, professional bank robber that actually killed people? And even though Jake Gyllenhaal still bank robs, his mindset isn't about killing people. And then Yahya, he kind of went a different route, was a Marine, etc., etc. But with that story plot that happens at the very end, that's all I'm going to say is what happens at the end, because it doesn't with all the dialogue happening in between and the scenarios they were in with this Hispanic gang and then everything happening in the ambulance with the other dialogue set pieces. And what happens at the very end, I don't know if it actually clicked as well as it was supposed to, but I understand the route they were taking. So I'm harping on the negatives now too much, but we have like Jake Gyllenhaal, Yahya, and Eiza González. They are fantastic in the roles. They know exactly what their dialogue is. They know exactly what they're supposed to portray, and it works extremely well. Yes, some of them are cartoony, but I think that's the whole point. If you know any Michael Bay film, there are going to be those off-the-wall dialogue scenes and off-the-wall humor. And some people didn't like it. Like, people didn't like the humor in Transformers 2 about when the mother went to the college. I thought that was fucking hysterical. So you're going to have some scenes of dialogue of like Jake Gyllenhaal and one of the bank robbers and stuff like that. And I thought that shit was funny. It opened up pretty strong too with González and getting her to know her character as a paramedic and with this kid. I thought that was very heartfelt as well. As like, oh shit, we're going there already. And so this movie is paced perfectly. There is not a slow moment in this movie. If you think there's a slow moment, you're fucking stupid. I'm going to say it right now. You are stupid if you think there's any slow moment in this movie, because it is basically punching you left and right and you don't know what is actually, you're just getting punched. Cars flying, chases, boom, boom, and everything happening. You're just like, damn. But overall, ambulance. You're going to get great directing. You're going to get great cinematography. You're going to get great acting, great action set pieces. Like, everything in this movie completely works, in my opinion, except some of the story elements where it's like, I understand you got to put an agenda in the movie, but if the agenda's in the movie and doesn't help the story flesh out or expand on the final conclusion, you don't need that agenda in the movie. And also that ending, not a big fan of how the ending just folded. I'm not the biggest fan, but those are two small nitpicks of the ending, and some agendas, but I can survive. Trust me. So Ambulance will receive a 4.5 out of 5 Futons, which equals at 90%. So the critics' user scores gave this one. So the critics 69% with 152 of them. On the audience score, 88% with 250. Here's critic consensus. At top speed and with silence wailing, Ambulance comes riding to the rescue for audiences facing an emergency shortage of Michael Bay action thrills. He hasn't had a movie to come out in theaters since 13 Hours, because the movie before that was Six Underground, and that was a Netflix film, and I enjoyed the heck out of that one as well. I think he's supposed to do Robo Apocalypse, but that's been on delay for so long, so who the heck knows. So anyway, 90, 88, or 869. Chase Luck with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about Booftonian. You Booftonians. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And also, there is references to Bad Boys and The Rock in this movie. And I think the Rock reference is fucking hysterical. Like, you're just like, I see what you did there. I see what you did.